hit, slide, grab, respect. This is ATL, you know we stay lit. Always united, check the new kit. Home of the brave, yeah, we on deck. We fly like a bird, like them hawks, check. Soaring through the city, rise up, dirty birds. All we do is win, losing's a dirty word. Selling out them seats, the city is on blast. Gotta get your tickets cause they selling out fast.
Good evening, everyone. This is Chris around the ATL on what time? What's going on? It's March 17th. It's a Tuesday night. I'm gonna put out one last little post real quick. There you go. And tonight's going to be a little bit different. Now, I had planned to do an hour, but I got home literally 30 minutes ago. So it's not going to be an hour. I'm going to try to condense all what I was going to do in 30 minutes. So I'm going to cut some stuff out. But tonight we're talking Atlanta Hawks basketball specifically. In the meantime, make sure before I get started, subscribe to the IMTM Worldwide Radio YouTube channel at the bottom there. So tonight, like I said, we're talking Atlanta Hawks basketball. We're talking 10 wins in a row and how big that is right now. We're going to be talking play-in or playoffs. We're going to talk a little bit about Kuminga and whether or not he'll be able to have an impact on this team this year or any year for that matter on the technical side, right? But first and foremost, the Atlanta Hawks have won 10 games in a row. It's been a while since they have done that. And it is a huge deal. It's a big deal. Now, some who have seen me talk about the Hawks over the last couple of weeks, you know, since January 23rd, I've been talking about a 10-game winning streak and how a 10-game winning streak would be needed to try to salvage the season from where they were at 2 months ago, obviously. That was when we beat the Suns. And I said, we need to win 10 in a row right now. And a lot of people said, well, they don't think it's possible for the Hawks to win 10 in a row. And my immediate response was, why? Why can't they win 10 in a row? You got Jalen Johnson, who's an all-star. You got NAW, 20 points a game. You got Okongwu playing well. You got Dyson playing well. Why can't we win 10 games in a row? Okay. Now, of course, we didn't win 10 games in a row in January. We didn't do it most of February, and we started winning eventually and got back to 500, of course, and then continued. But here we are, 37 and 31. We got 31 losses, and we have won 10 in a row. We're 8th in the East currently. At the moment, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Do I have it still pulled up? Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. I have it somewhere here. At the moment, the Atlanta Hawks are 37 and 31. Right ahead of them, the Miami Heat, 38 and 30. Okay, so they're one game above us. Above them, Toronto Raptors, 38 and 29. And then, of course, the Magic, who we just beat, are in 5th, and right above them are the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, one of the other things I also had mentioned a couple of weeks ago is that the Atlanta Hawks have a small chance, to clinch the 6th spot. To go from 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, all the way to 6th. It's small, but it's there. But again, that was based on having a 10-game win streak and not losing that 30-second game for a minute. Because again, tiebreakers and all these different things are going to come into play, trying to beat these teams in the Eastern Conference where most of the season we weren't really winning those games. So with this 10th win, okay, beating the current 5th seed, what does that mean right now? Okay. Beating Orlando, a team that at the time, before we played them, were 10 games over 500, right? One of the things I've been saying is we had a favorable schedule. There's no shame in saying that. You're supposed to beat the teams that are ahead of you that might be worse than you, that might not have all of their players. If you don't win those games, then what are you even talking about, right? Lots of times this season, we haven't done that. We have lost to the Wizards, okay? That happened. We synced it with our own eyes, right? So it's a good thing that they were able to do that. But now the transition is going to be, as you start playing the better teams now, can you carry the things that were beating these other teams, can you carry it over to the better teams now? Because over these last few weeks, we're not getting killed in points in the paint anymore, or at least we haven't been. Second chance points, fast break points, 3-pointers, getting out rebounded. Now, again, part of that is who we're playing. We played a lot of 40-loss teams. We played a lot of teams that did not have their best player on the floor at the time. Okay, so that's true. But can you do it against the better teams? If you can, now you're talking. Now we can start talking about, can the Hawks be a contender all of a sudden in the East? Because right now, until you start beating the better teams, you can't really say that just yet. But you can say that you're better than what you were 2 months ago for sure. Look at the record, right? So last night, again, we beat the Orlando Magic. Let me go ahead and just go over some of the things that they did win last night. Points in the paint. Now, on the technical side, we were even, but I say because of that, we won. It was only 46 points. Second chance points, gave up 13. We won that. We had 19. Fast break points, we did give up 17 fast break points, but that wasn't monumental, mostly because of the points in the paint and the second chance points. But also, we out-rebounded the Orlando Magic 54-40. That's huge right there. Now, they only shot 32% from three. Usually, with a team like the Magic, that's something to really pay attention to right there. Now, as far as the individuals, now in this particular game, and I do have to note this, of course, and I was going to mention it later, but I might as well mention it now. No, I'm not. I'm gonna mention it later, I think. No, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Let's do this. I'm trying to keep this within 30 minutes, but let's see if I can do this. So Dyson last night, 6 for 9 from the floor. He only took 1 3-pointer. Good. He had 12 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block at 15 points. Okay. Jalen Johnson, he was 10 of 19 from the floor, hit 2 threes, had 15 boards. So basically, that was our rebounding right there for the most part. While we out-rebounded him. He also had 13 assists. He had a steal. He did have 4 turnovers. Okongwu has not been shooting well. If anybody's been paying attention, it is a little bit, again, worrisome, especially he was doing this against the bad teams. Like he was having there was 1 4 for 17 game. He had, I want to say it was against the Nets or somebody, but he was 5 of 12 from the floor last night. He hit 2 threes. He had 7 boards. He had 4 assists, though, had a block. NAW, of course, had a career night, 12-21 from the floor. He had 9 threes last night, 64% clip. Only missed 1 free throw. Had 7 rebounds on top of that, had 5 assists, 2 steals at 41 points. CJ also had a bad game. Now, he was the only one who didn't score double digits. He was 3 of 14 from the floor, 1 of 7 from 3, at 9 points. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky. And I've been talking about this for a while, but I'm going to talk about it tonight a little bit. And again, don't forget to subscribe to the IMTM Worldwide Radio YouTube channel as we talk about 10 wins in a row. I'm trying to see if I can find a little, I don't know if I want to do it now or later. We'll wait. So our bench scored 20 points last night. That was with Muhammad Gay playing 7 minutes. He didn't score. Gabe playing 10 minutes. He didn't score. Jock played 10 minutes. He did score 8 points. He was 3 or 4 from the floor, hit a 3, hit a free throw. He also had, I believe this is 2 rebounds. Okay. Or is that 2 assists? He had 2 assists, 1 rebound. Zach played almost 10 minutes at 2 points. Okay. And then Kuminga played 18 minutes, 59 seconds, had 7 points. He did have 8 rebounds, though. So that also helped us out-rebound the Orlando Magic last night. And then you had Corey Kispert at 3 points at 4 minutes. So just based off of that right there, if Nickeil Walker-Alexander didn't have 41 points, this would have been a little bit more of a struggle. Now, remember, we won the game by basically 12 points. So That's going to be something to look at going forward. What is the rotation going to be eventually? Who are you going to be able to really rely on consistently? Because Okongwu played 37 minutes, Jalen played 36 minutes, Dyson played 35 minutes. That's pretty much where you want them to be, but will you have to play them longer even? Do you risk doing a Tom Thibodeau and just playing all the starters 40 minutes? It could work. I don't know. It could work, but who again, after you get past our starting lineup, who do you trust? Now, mind you, one thing I do want to mention in regards to lineup, and I'll go ahead and talk about this now. Think about last year and the last stretch, basically the last 2 months. And think about this. I'm just talking basketball right now. Make sure you subscribe to the IMTN Worldwide Radio page if you're watching. Make sure you share it with at least one Atlanta Hawks fan too. Last year, we didn't have NAW, we didn't have CJ, we didn't have JJ after game 36. What if we had one of those players to close out the last 2 months of last year? What if we had two of those players? What if we had all three? Think about that. Because remember, you had Dyson, you had Okongwu. Okongwu, again, last year, after he finally was given a chance to start permanently, he was 15-10, and then the last month of the season, he was 16-11. You had Dyson Daniels, who ended up winning Most Improved and came up second in Defensive Player of the Year, right? And then you had the other player who was averaging 24-11. That team last year finished 40-42, which was 4 more wins than the year before. But again, that play-in game, we had two players primarily in that game. That was the former player and Okongwu. They were the ones doing the damage in that game. I want to ask y'all a question. Can any of you give me an argument of how Niang, Georges Niang, Terrence Mann, and Karis Levert are better than NAW, CJ, or Jalen Johnson? Can you give me an argument? Having better players on the roster is always going to matter. There's no way you can undercut, undersell, sweep that under the rug or anything like that. When you have better players on your team, you can win more. Remember, last year, to a certain point of the season, the Hawks were 5th in the East until the injuries. And somebody on Facebook, I saw on a sports page on Facebook, said this, and I had just glanced because I was on my way to work. And they asked a question, and I want to say it was on the Atlanta Hawks home court page on Facebook. They said, has there ever been a time or a year where we just didn't have a cascade of injuries every season? That's some good homework right there to go and check out. Because again, I've said this, what are the 5 things that you need to be successful on a regular basis? You have to have an owner that wants to win a championship and does everything that's necessary to win a championship, not just talking it, and definitely not talking it. Again, how many times have we heard the owner of the Hawks talk about bringing a championship to Atlanta? How many times have you seen it? You have to have a general manager that makes wise decisions over a long period of time, not just once in a while. You have to have good to great coach. You have to have good to great players, and you have to be healthy. How many times in Atlanta Hawks history has health devastated a season? Think about that just a little bit. And if you think about the Eastern Conference Finals run, what if Hunter is available for the Milwaukee series? What if John Collins wasn't hurt? What if Gallo wasn't hurt? What if Bogey wasn't hurt? What if Clint wasn't hurt the very next year against the Miami Heat? You think we get beat by the Miami Heat if everybody was healthy instead of a lot of people being hurt and somebody getting triple teamed and not being able to rely on Kevin Huerter? You see what I'm saying? 2023 season, Okongwu was down. Sadiq Bey was down. Hunter was down again. Of course, the former player was down as well. There was like 4 or 5 players that particular season that missed 20 games or more each that particular season, right? And of course, last year, JJ goes down after game 36, but also Larry Nance went down, and Larry Nance was a productive player for us. He did some things that were really good for the team. I still say if we had just been able to keep him on the roster going into that end stretch, that would have offset some of the things that happened at the end of the season. The roster is always going to be an issue when you don't have enough good players on your team. And again, trying to elevate people who really aren't contributing to your team and keeping them for 3 or 4 years doesn't ever make any sense, except for certain teams that continue to do it without no success. Now, that being said, I mentioned 2 things that I did give credit for, one, the general manager and one, the head coach. One, for the general manager, making the choice to get rid of Luke and Vit. Now, at first, and I've said this before, I didn't agree with that initially because I'm like, well, our offense is primarily based on shooting a whole bunch of threes. You're going to take the best 3-point shooters we have off the team. Doesn't make sense to me. However, after thinking about it a little bit, I did say, well, on the flip side, defense. Those 2 players alone give up a lot of frivolous points that are not needed because they don't play defense at all. They don't play, they can't do it, okay? And they give up a lot of points for the minutes that they give, the minutes that they give on the court, they give up a lot of points. And those points catch up to you at the end of the game. Those points catch up to you in the second quarter. All of a sudden, we got 65 points in the first quarter that we've given up. That's crazy, right? You haven't seen a lot of that lately, though, have you? The other move that I gave Coach credit for was the benching of Zach. At the end of the day, it had to happen. And having CJ on the team, somebody who can get their own shot on a regular basis at any given time, he can get the ball, bounce, he's hitting a shot. Now, he didn't do it last night, but when he's on, he's a dangerous player. He's a proven scorer. Again, he's an 18-point-a-game scorer. You have NAW, a 20-point-a-game scorer. You got JJ, 23 points a game. So, again, it's a matter of we have some better players than we had a year ago. Again, you cannot argue that Terrence Mann and Georges Niang and Karis, I ain't not your Casanova, is better than Jalen Johnson, CJ McCollum, and NAW. You can't do that. Now, with Zach being on the bench, though, is he going to be that person that we can rely on coming off the bench from now on? Because there's times where it looks like he can be and give us 17 points a game, and then there's times not so much. Like, again, he didn't do that much last night, right? But again, this is where this is going to come into play. And let me go ahead and bring this up real quick. Kuminga, what is he going to bring to the table? We haven't seen a whole heck of a lot of him, right? We've really only seen him for 3 games. We've seen Kuminga really play 3 games. These other games, he's kind of spot duty, coming off the injury or whatever it is. We need to kind of know what we got, right, for short-term and long-term possibilities, because we're in a situation where, again, our rotations are going to get shorter and shorter, and we're really going to probably be playing at most an 8-man rotation at this point. So which 3 players off the bench are we going to on a regular basis? In a perfect scenario, Kuminga and Zach should be 2 of those guys, you would think, right? And then you sprinkle in a little young Jock, right? But, you know, you got Kispert, you got Gabe, and again, unfortunately, Muhammad Gabe, he's just been inconsequential again this season. He was last year, and he had a chance last year to really step up and take that backup power forward position and make it his own. And he let Niang beat him out too many times. Why? Because he couldn't hit a shot. At least Niang can hit a shot from time to time. Can't play no defense, right? But he can hit a shot. Not the fourth quarter of that Miami play in, of course, but whatever, right? So how are we going to kind of manage that and maneuver through this period? Because again, as we get to the better teams, we're going to need the depth. And right now, who do you rely on? Because we got to rely on somebody, right? So that's a big question right there. So Kuminga could be, again, a huge difference maker. He's a legit 20-point-a-game guy, I believe, when healthy, when he's right. But he has to be on the court, though. He has to be effective, just like anybody else. Now, at the same time, guess what? When you're not hitting a shot, you need to do some other stuff. He's a player who can do some other stuff for you as well. He had 8 rebounds last night. I mean, let's see what else he had. He had 8 rebounds, 6 of them defensive, 2 on the offensive board. He had an assist. You know, he had a couple. He had 3 free throws. So he was in his 20 minutes. He gave you 7 points, an assist, 8 boards. So he went 7 and 8, right? So you need that, but then again, Zach only gave you 2 points, right? Again, if NAW didn't have 41 points, that Orlando game could have came out different because we didn't get anything from the bench for all intents and purposes. We didn't get nothing. So who are going to be the players that we rely on the most? Is it going to be Kuminga? Can it be Zach? Who is it going to be? We kind of need to figure that out sooner than later because, again, we're about to play some of the teams that we need to really beat, and I'll get to that in a little bit. So can the Hawks do more than the play? And again, we know where we finished last year. We know who we played. We saw the fourth quarter and how we were able to at least get into overtime. We saw 2 players score in overtime for the Hawks, and we saw 17 points get scored in overtime by the Miami Heat, which I remember, if you remember, I showed you that whole overtime, shot for shot, how all those points got scored. Okay, go check it out on the Around the ATL YouTube channel right there, and you go watch that. So this year, for all intents and purposes, we've done enough we shouldn't be in 10th place. Worst case scenario, we still shouldn't be in 10th. Technically, worst case scenario, we shouldn't even be in 9th. Could we solidify 8th? Probably. Because right now, again, let's see, where do I have it pulled up at? We are in 8th, a game behind the Heat, a game and a half behind Toronto for 6th. So we're right there. And again, we just beat Orlando, right? Guess what? We get to play Orlando again, another team. One of the things I said about the 10-game winning streak was one way or the other, we got to hold off from losing that 32nd game at all costs for as long as we can because we don't know what the teams above us are going to be doing, right? What if they all keep winning as well? We have to at least solidify we're going to make the play-in. But what if some of these teams do stumble? But more importantly, when we get to play them one-on-one, can we beat them or not? Because that will help, just like we beat Philadelphia the other day, right? So we got Orlando. We have, I'll go ahead and run it down because I did pull this up. If I can find it. There we go. So we have the Mavericks, which we better not let Cooper Flag go off for 50 points or whatever craziness. I forgot that we have the Rockets. Now, the Rockets will be another good team to play that's way above 500 to where can we beat them straight up? We need to be able to not let them out-rebound us. We cannot let them have 70 points in the paint. We cannot let them have 20 second-chance points. We can't let them have 30 fast break points. None of that stuff can happen against the Rockets, okay? We play the Warriors, which are a scrappy team, but we need to beat them too somehow. We have the Grizzlies, which, okay. But then we have the Pistons. We haven't beaten the Pistons all year. We've been mollywopped against the Pistons all year. Well, Chris, what about that real close game? No, we gave up almost 80 points in the paint in that game, okay? We have the Celtics. We need to beat the Celtics. The Pistons and the Celtics, we need to beat them back-to-back. Those are the top teams in the East. If we're going to show that we're a contender, we have to win those games. It can't be, oh, well, no, we have to beat them with Jason Tatum. Then we have the Kings. We have the Celtics again. I forgot we played the Celtics twice. So it's the Celtics twice, Orlando twice, and then also the Cavs twice. We need to beat the Cavs twice too, by the way. We have the Nets again. Hopefully MPJ is still not playing. We have the Knicks. We need to beat the Knicks. Okay. And then again, the Cavs, which are back-to-back, by the way, and then we finish up with the Miami Heat, which we need to win that game. A couple of weeks ago, I said for the last 20 games of the season, we need to go 15-5. Right now, the Hawks are pacing the 15-5. So if we can do these things, some of them, half of them, the play-in, where's that? The play-in might not be in our cards. We actually might qualify for the 6th seed and be in the playoffs, okay, which will be a huge jump, right? Then it's just a matter of, again, matchups and all that kind of good stuff, of course, right? Now, that all being said, let's see. There's one more thing I wanted to talk about. Let's see if I can find it. I might not be able to find it, and I might have already forgotten about it. If we can make the playoffs, let's say if we're the 6th seed, as of the moment, we would be playing, who's the 3rd seed right now? The New York Knickerbockers, right? So we know who's on that team. Full strength against full strength, can we beat the Knicks in the first round of a series? Now, we know the Knicks have been pretty successful in the playoffs over the last couple of years, except getting out of the Eastern Conference Finals. But they at least are getting to the second round, right? We haven't done that since, the 2021 playoffs, right? So can we beat the Knicks? But if the Knicks were to stumble or let's see, I don't know if there's enough. The Cavs are only 2 games behind the Knicks. So they could flip-flop. Could we beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in a series, in the first round? James Harden, Spider, Allen, Mobley. That's a lot going on right there, right? Let's say, though, for whatever reason, we're not able to get to the 6th spot and we're in the 7th spot. You're winning, you're in, right? That's the Celtics all of a sudden that we're playing with Jason Tatum. So again, it is all about matchups. When I play Sunday night, we're looking to see, okay, who am I guarding and who you got. We're trying to match up. It's about matchups to say, we got a pretty good team. We probably can roll this out, Don't always work like that, right? My arm is still hurting because somebody fell on it and I can't even raise it up or whatever. But we won two of our 4 games though, including the last game of the night. But it is about matchups. It's about adjusting. It's about rotations. You know what I'm saying? And again, we had a favorable schedule that allowed us to be able to, quote unquote, get right. Again, we've had JJ basically the entire year. We've had Dyson the entire year. We've had Okongwu the entire year. We've had NAW the entire year. CJ is recent, but we've also had Zach the entire year. So that's 5 players of our core that have been here pretty much the entire year. We're just now getting right. You see what I'm saying? That's why, like I said, January, I said we need a 10-game win streak. I don't care how we do it, but we need to do it. We have enough talent here to do it, right? So here we are now. So now we got to prove it to another level to say, okay, we got to be able to we got to go as far as we can go. Okay, we can't just be rest on the laurels and be like, okay, 10-game winning streak was cool. Here's Dallas, Memphis, Brooklyn. They can't be the ones that stumble us. The Kings, for crying out loud. We don't want to do that. What's the Kings record right now? Let me see. The Kings are the worst team in the NBA at 18-51. It'll be a complete disaster if we were to lose to them right now. All right. Again, just chopping it up on the Hawks. Again, I wanted to talk about it a little bit. I was going to do an hour, but I think I'm going to wrap it up right now because, again, I'm exhausted from working today. But I didn't want to not do it. One, again, 10 wins in a row is a big deal no matter who you're playing, because at the end of the day, anybody can beat you. A lot of these games were actually close. Remember, some of these games were a lot closer than they were supposed to be. That Nets game without MPJ was closer than it was supposed to be for most of that game until the fourth quarter, right? So my thing is now, can we continue it? Can we make sure that we don't have the points in the paint given up against the better teams, the second chance points? Because those are the things that make us lose. Giving up the points in the paint, giving up the second chance points, giving up the fast break points. You just don't know how irritating it is to see the fast break points and how they're given up. People just not paying attention to their assignments. It's simple stuff. It's basketball, right? And of course, the threes, not rotating the whole night, not contesting shots. You're just letting them shoot the three. You're just watching it go in the hoop. You didn't even jump. You didn't put your hand up. You're just going to let them shoot it. This has been happening all season, since December. Okay? So with the same players for the most part. Now, all that being said, let's see what happens. Again, our next game is against the Dallas Mavericks. Is that on the road or at home? In Dallas. See, here's the other thing, too. Dallas and the Rockets are on the road. We got the Warriors at home. We have the Grizzlies at home. Then we play the Pistons on the road, the Celtics on the road. The Kings are at home. So we have a chance to kind of right the ship a little bit on the home record, too, a little bit, because we have the Celtics at home, like I just mentioned. We go back on the road against the Magic April 1st. At the Nets, April 3rd. We have the Knicks at home, go on the road for the Cavs, and then back home for the Cavs the next game. And then our last game of the season is on the road against the Heat. So right now, the Atlanta Hawks record on the road is 18-15. At home, it's 19-16 now. Okay, so that's a huge deal as opposed to what it used to be. We're 3 games over 500 at home finally. We were really struggling at home most of this season, obviously. But on the road, that's the Heat. We're 3 games above 500 on the road as well. So that's encouraging that we can play both home or away. Now, the other thing about the 10-game winning streak, that's what I was going to mention. I knew I forgot something, is keeping the teams behind us from coming back up. We did a great job of eliminating basically the Bucks, right? Because they had a winning streak. They were trying to come up. You know, they got Giannis back and everything, but they're pretty much toast. We don't have, if worst case scenario happens, we're in 10th, we won't drop out of 10th, right? But you got the Hornets, who have been playing very well this season. You have the 76ers, which I haven't looked and seen if Joel Embiid has been playing yet, but they're 37-31. They're literally tied with us, okay? So they got Maxey, they got those other guys, Oubre and everybody like that. So we got to try to keep those guys off of us. So at worst, we stay at 8th. We can move up, but we can't move down, if that makes any sense. So we're going to see. We're going to see how much longer we can keep the streak going. We need to beat Dallas. I don't know if they're going to get rid of Klay Thompson in time. There's a rumor they're going to buy him out and send him to San Antonio or whatever. But if he's still there, he still can hit 20 points on you. He did it the last game we played. So you got to watch out for him. And Cooper might just have a good game. You never know. So you got to watch out for them. The Rockets is going to be a huge game. That's on the 20th. So that's just 3 days from now. So we got to watch out for that game, see if we can get that. But after that, again, the Warriors been real scrappy this year. They can beat kind of anybody. Memphis, we should beat them. We better beat them. And then the Pistons. Pistons is a huge game. They're the top team in the East. Can we beat them finally? Right. The other reason, there's one more reason. I think I mentioned it earlier when I'm signing off of this. The tiebreaker. There's going to be some ties this year, and the more we're able to get up in the standings and win these Eastern Conference games, you know, and win in other places, it helps us with the tiebreaker as well. It could be the difference between us making the playoffs and making the play-in. So it's very important that, you know, however we can do it, we got to beat some of these better teams. The teams that are 20 games over 500. You know what I'm saying? We got to beat them. So that all being said, I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. But like I said, I just want to talk about a little bit. 10 wins in a row, obviously a huge deal. Play-in or playoffs, again, talked about Kuminga a little bit. If you enjoyed this episode, definitely tell others, tell at least one other Atlanta Hawk fan out there. Make sure you subscribe if you've been in it. Subscribe to the IMTN Worldwide Radio page on YouTube. I appreciate that. And even though I didn't play any music, I did play at the very beginning. I used it as a little bit of a buffer before I came on. So I might experiment with that a little bit later. And yes, I am going to eventually find time to redo the intro of the show. I haven't had the time to do it. I got to figure it out again. So hopefully you enjoyed Around the ATL talking some Atlanta Hawks. Make sure you go back and check out the Falcons episode I did on Sunday talking about free agency. I do have an Atlanta Braves episode coming up soon. So if you're a Braves fan, spring training has been going pretty decent with the guys. So I will be doing a baseball show to prelude the season. It's a little too early, a little bit for college, I think, but I will be probably doing some UGA, Georgia Tech, Georgia State, all the HBCUs in Georgia and everything soon, and catch up on that a little bit. Like I said, I'm slowly but surely trying to get back a little bit regular. And hopefully my co-host Jordan Jackson will make it next time. He was going to be there Sunday, but he had to go on an appointment at the last minute, so we missed him on that one. With that being said, I'm going to get out of here for real this time because I'm tired. I got to eat. Hopefully you enjoyed Around the ATL tonight, talking Atlanta Hawks. Go Hawks. And we'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.
Dribble, pass, throw.